First, as you mentioned, I think the hard part was really to make the decision, right? Because making a decision when you are at average and you get everything overboard, yeah, is a challenge. If your product absolutely doesn't work, I would say the decision is easy. But our product, we were always like looking far ahead and said, oh no, there will some customer will use us. Some next customer will use us the right way.
Are you a scaling SaaS founder? Ready to make the leap from leading a team to leading an organization? Join us each week as we refill your think tank with actionable tips and strategies from great business minds you know and those who don't know yet. This is SaaS Fuel with your host, 5-time entrepreneur, SaaS founder, and globetrotting adventurer, Jeff Maines.
Welcome back to the SaaS Fuel podcast, where your favorite childhood cartoon taught you more about business than you might have realized. Because every great founder is just a problem-solving hero in the making. I'm your host, Jeff Maines. Help B2B SaaS founders like you grow from traction to scale. Here, growth is more than just numbers. It's about crafting a future-proof company, premium valuation, and leaders who build a business of significance while living epic, adventurous lives. Why is it that some sales reps consistently outperform their peers? They close bigger deals, build stronger relationships, and make it look effortless, while others will struggle to keep up. Is it raw talent, a better strategy, or just pure luck? For years, sales leaders have tried to crack this code with structured playbooks, hoping to level the playing field. But here's the reality. Top performers, they don't follow the script, they write their own. And that's exactly what today's episode is all about. We're diving into how AI is changing the game for sales intelligence, capturing real sales conversations and uncovering the hidden patterns that separate the good from the great. Traditional sales training relies on generic best practices, and that's like average. But AI-driven insights allow companies to learn directly from their own top performers. Pretty cool stuff. And that turns their instincts and strategies into a repeatable, scalable playbook because we're capturing actually what they're doing, not just what, is in a playbook and we tell other people to do. Data alone doesn't close deals. The best salespeople understand that selling is both an art and a science. So how do you strike the right balance between AI-driven efficiency and the human touch that builds real connections? And with most sales reps spending more time on admin work than actual selling, how can automation help them reclaim those lost hours and focus on what they do best and what you want them to do, which is close deals? We'll also explore one of the biggest challenges growing sales teams face, scaling under pressure. And there's extreme pressure. Venture capital expectations looming and aggressive targets to hit. Companies often focus on lead volume instead of lead quality. Yeah, and that's a mistake that can cost millions in wasted effort. So what's the smartest way to approach growth without sacrificing in performance? If you're serious about transforming your sales team, leveraging technology to actually make reps better and unlock the secrets of top closers, this episode is packed with insights you won't want to miss. Let's get into it. Our founder on Tuesday was Peter Benet, principal consultant at Intercept Scale. He explored how AI is reshaping B2B marketing and leadership. As an expert in remote team management and AI-driven growth strategies, Peter shared actionable insights on leveraging automation without losing the human touch in business. And our expert guest last week was Frank Saunders, founder of Salesforge. He shared how data-driven sales strategies are helping companies optimize their pipelines and maximize revenue with minimal headcount. Frank broke down how AI and automation are changing the game for B2B sales teams, looking for exponential growth. If you missed either one of those episodes, go back and give it a listen. My guest today, Gerald Zankl, is on a mission to revolutionize sales efficiency with AI-driven insights. As CEO and co-founder of Kickscale, he's helping companies optimize sales strategies at scale. Before this, he played a key role in growing Bitmovin from startup to $20 million in revenue, securing multi-million-dollar deals with global giants like Red Bull, Bloomberg, and BBC. Today, he's here to unpack how AI, emotional selling, and data-driven strategy are reshaping the future of sales and how you can stay ahead of the curve. Hey, Gerald, welcome to SaaS Fuel.
Jeff, welcome. Really nice having me here and looking forward to chatting with you. Thanks for having me here.
Well, you started your career in sales while still in high school and later helped scale Bitmovin to 20 million ARR. What really sparked your passion for technology and sales?
I would say two things, right? And it goes back very early to my childhood. For technology, I have an uncle who was like really deep into technology, but obviously this was 20, no, longer. Oh my God, this was like 30 years, 30 years ago, almost 35 years, I would say, where I played the first computer games, right? Like Doom and all these things.
Okay.
Yeah. I was way too young, to be honest, to play Doom at this time, I would say. But this sparked an interest for all this technology because he was building computers, he was integrating motherboards into computers, and so on and so forth. And this was like the spark for technology, I would say. And the spark for sales, my family at home had and has still a petrol station. So my
Okay.
granddad started with a petrol station back then. And I was then, when I was a child, like 3+ years old, I was in this petrol station and my mom was the cashier in the petrol station. And obviously, I saw a lot of customers coming in there, and I ate a lot of
Sure.
sweets as well in that petrol station, I must say, when I was a child, but saw also, yeah, how human communication works. And at the end, it was sales because they come for something, we serve them, and they paid something. And I think these two, yeah, elements or these two areas sparked my interest in technology and sales.
Oh, that's really good. BitMove 20 million ARR, fantastic growth. That was, in large part to what you were doing. You were really key there. What are some of the most pivotal sales challenges you faced in that journey, and how did you overcome them?
Oh, I think there were tons of it. Yeah. And I think we also, luckily, I got hired to Bitmovin as the first marketing and sales employee. I worked super close with the founders together, and still the founders are today investors in our company. And I think
Oh, that's great.
one big challenge, and I think there are multiple challenges, right? It depends always on the stage when you look at it. But when you look very early on in the early days where we had initial revenue, initial traction, I think the hard part is to focus really, to see what works and what doesn't. But you still need to test. You never stop testing, but at a
Sure.
certain stage when you see some channel or some customers, some ideal customers working, you need also to double down there. I think this was at the very beginning essential, I would say. And then later on, especially when we had like series A, series B, I would say, scaling and hiring. And also, when we were a very small team of 10, 20 people, you can talk to each other, right? You don't need too much of processes, and everyone is aligned on the things. But once you are getting to 60, 70, 100 people, communication becomes so important because you need to tell the people what is our ICP, what's the value of the product. You cannot
Right.
look at the site and say, oh, here is my product manager or the head of product. Say, hey, how would you handle it? Oh, listen, this is what our solution does. So I think this was then getting the scalability in. I think at the very beginning, like up to 50, 60 people, up to maybe, yeah, 5-ish million in ARR, right? You get it like with great passion, with great people. But then everything above that, you really need some, I would not call it processes because it's maybe not what I want to say, but the thing is you need some structure in place. Yeah. And this I
Sure.
think was then later on one of the big challenges. And then when we crossed the 20 million ARR path, I think what is then, at least for Bitmovin, what I experience is then the market, right? You need then to think of where can you grow into that market. You are an established player in a certain market, but where can you find new markets? What do you need to change on the product to enter new markets? And this was then, I would say, also a challenge I've experienced.
That's good. And you mentioned process and not necessarily that, but maybe playbooks, which led you really to Kickscale. That's where you started offering sales playbooks and then transitioned into real customer intelligence, a complete customer intelligence platform, which I think is fascinating. What drove the pivot, and how did you validate the shift?
So I think the pivot was driven by a lot of frustration, Jeff. Yeah. And the thing was, we had at Bitmovin, at least I had the lack as a leader, I had the lack of how can I enable my team best. So I had a team of 15 sales reps, yeah, and not everyone was like a stellar sales rep, right? We hired a lot of junior people,
Sure.
and then we saw I personally, but also the organization, didn't have time to train and onboard them properly. So we thought, hey, why not building playbooks? Means like training material with templates, with videos, and so on, where every sales rep can go in and can learn how to sell, can learn objection handling and all these things. But not only a generic playbook, also you can adopt it and customize it towards your needs, to your specific
Mm.
industry, your company, and so on and so forth. And with everyone we were talking, said, yeah, the idea is great, cool, let's keep it going, and so on and so forth. But the truth was, no seller used our platform. We had really
Wow.
less sales reps really using it. And to be very honest with you, typically the bad sellers and the sellers who didn't hit quota used our platform because obviously they want to get better. I must say they did get better, yeah, but we never got our content to the best sales rep, and our product was never used by the best sales reps. And so we thought, when only the sales reps who are maybe already on a performance improvement plan, right, and 50% get fired and 50%
Right.
luckily turn it around with the help of us as well. But we said, how can we get to these best sales reps? What do these best sales reps need? This was one thinking. And the other thinking also was, we were so frustrated because our initial thesis was, everyone needs sales playbooks. Even the best sales reps, there is something they
Sure.
can do better, right? And I truly believe that this is the case too. Everyone, even I'm 10, 15 years in B2B sales, there is so much I can learn and I need still to learn to get better. But the reality is, no one wanted that. So we said, listen, guys, we need to change something on our product. And based on this frustration point that no one wanted our content, we said, we need to prove to the sales reps that they have certain issues in their sales conversations. So why not recording these conversations and then at the end telling them, hey, this is what you do great, but here you suck more or less, and here are the playbooks you need to get better. Fast forward, the playbooks also were not like the best selling part of our solution, let's call it like that. But the people were super interesting in the meeting summary, in all the items they got out of a 1 hour conversations. We implemented certain AI features that they can ask the AI what were like the critical points in the conversation. And we have implemented that not only for one meeting, also leadership, the management team can go in and do that for hundreds, thousands of meetings to see certain patterns. And that's essentially what our solution is today, helping sales reps across the world make them more efficient, but also gaining critical customer insights out of conversations.
That's really good. And I think it's very wise to make that pivot because you're probably selling to the VP of sales or chief revenue officer. And they think about that and they're like, yeah, playbooks, that makes perfect sense. We're going to make our reps better. And then you deploy it and the reps are like, we don't need that.
Exactly the case.
And there's no adoption.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, Jeff. Yeah, that's exactly how it was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, however you want to call it.
It takes a lot of guts to decide that we're gonna make a shift and do something different and try something else because the market, obviously, you're selling, it's just not being used. And the last time we talked, if it's not completely invaluable, it's expendable. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant to look at it that way. And okay, if that's true, how do we become invaluable?
Yeah.
And so, what did you do? What were those steps? How did you make that happen?
First, as you mentioned, I think the hard part was really to make the decision, right? Because making a decision when you are at average and you get everything overboard, yeah, is a challenge. If your product absolutely doesn't work, I would say the decision is easy. But our product, we were always like looking far ahead and said, oh no, some customer will use us. Some next customer will use us the right way. And for sure, we had some users on it. We got good feedback. They were happy with our solution and so on. But what we really changed then is, first of all, the sales rep doesn't need to do anything. So no matter if they are doing sales calls, if they are doing sales meetings, we automatically connect to any kind of system on the one hand side. And on the other hand side, we also connect to the other systems like CRM systems. And then we synchronize that data. That was really the initial step, I would say, or one of the initial steps, yeah, where then the sales reps came back to us and said, hey, actually, cool, that helps me. And even before the CRM sync, we just implemented a simple, today, obviously, this is no rocket science, yeah, but a couple of years ago, yeah, this was still very nicely seen from the sales reps, and it is still nicely seen today. We just built a customized email follow up. That means when we have a conversation of 1 hour, for example, you get afterwards an email follow up, which is exactly filled with the bullet points of our conversation. And this was in the early days as well of ChatGPT, where we made that happen. Yeah. And then people saw, oh, that's actually quite nice because I'm talking here an hour. I don't need to take any notes. And afterwards, automatically, I get this nice email summary. And this was then one of the pivotal moments, I would say, where we saw, oh, now the sales reps, they love us. Because the sales
Yeah.
leaders, they loved us already before. They said, hey guys, I like your concept and so on. But now we had also the sales reps, and that's super important, or was super important back then.
How hard is it when you're selling to one audience, but then your users are a different audience?
I wonder how hard it is. I think you need to have two value propositions, and you need to frame your
Hmm.
product in a way that you say, your users, they need to understand the value. They need to understand what's in it for them. But the leaders at the one hand side, they need obviously to understand how does my users benefit from it and are my users happy with that? But in addition to that, they need also to gain some value out of it. And I think we made that happen then with
Yeah.
a lot of reporting, with a lot of aggregated insights for the leaders and with productivity and efficiency features for the users. And the better I think you communicate to the different buying personas, so to say, yeah, the easier obviously it also gets to get into the whole organization. Because if then today product comes to us, marketing comes to us, sales leadership, the sellers, and say, hey, all of that, we need some piece of that solution. And that's obviously then the nice part where you can expand into the whole organization or into the whole revenue teams, let's call it like this.
Sure. Well, you integrate AI-driven sales optimization with emotional selling. How do you strike that right balance between, say, data-driven insights and human connection in sales?
Yeah, Jeff, that's one, I think, one of my topics which I'm really passionate about. Why? I think sales at the one hand side is a science. Yeah. There are certain
Yes.
things which are just facts, right? If you are not calling a certain amount of people every day, yeah, if you are not following a certain follow-up process, if you're not preparing the offer and sending that out, you will never close a deal. Yeah, that's a fact. But on the other hand side, there is also the art of selling, like empathy, like having great conversations, asking the right questions with the right tone, being silent in the right moment that you say, oh no, I'm now golden silent, so to say. Yeah, let's wait what the customer or the prospect says. And balancing that out, I think, is very important. Where we focused on first was the science and helping the sales rep in their productivity, that they save time and so on. There is one statistic from Salesforce, and they have done that more or less a couple of years in a row. And what Salesforce was figuring out is that 66% of the time of a sales rep is spent in non-selling activities.
I believe it.
I was like blown away from this statistic at the very beginning, but then I look deep and say, yeah, like you, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have, I don't know, 4 to 5, 6, maybe 10 really valuable meetings a week. Yeah. This is one day, I would say. And the rest of the week, you have some follow up, some CRM updates, you do some uh, other research, whatever. And that's where we focused on first. We said, if you can give, and if you can give the best reps 2 or 3 hours more time back, obviously in these 2 or 3 hours,
Right.
they will again contact prospects and customers. And that's where we started. That's where we also got the attention then of the user saying, okay, they optimize my day, they provide me efficiency. And besides that, they learn certain patterns. And patterns, what kind of questions you are asking all the time, what kind of questions you are never asking, what kind of speak to listen ratio you have. Yeah. So we are not even back then when we started, we weren't going into the whole emotional analysis or sentiment analysis on and so forth. We were really at the very first level saying, how much do you talk? How much do I talk? And already that helped so many sellers to improve, even we are not going into detecting the face or anything else.
Wow. Yeah, and you think about just it doesn't sound like a lot, but 2 or 3 hours, and that's if you look at the total time they're spending already, that's pretty significant in giving that to them, and that makes everybody more money. The company, the reps, that's gotta make everybody really happy when it works.
100%. And this, Jeff, was the beginning where we had this 2 to 3 hours. Now we are up, I would say, when you look at the typical week, I think we get into 15 hours and plus. Yeah. So 1 5, because
Wow.
all of the CRM updates, a rep using our software actually doesn't need to update anything in the CRM anymore. So everything goes automatically. And for sure, that's a huge benefit because they really can work on the customer. And same counts, we have now implemented the first agents where the agent obviously collects all the action items, what happened in the last conversations, and then the agent monitors, hey, Jeff, have you really done this? Or hey, Gerald, have you really done this? Hey, you need to follow up this. Have you done this? And checking all different channels in the CRM if there was a quote sent out or if a follow up meeting was scheduled. Yeah. If not, the agent can automatically schedule it. And all these things take so much admin time off the plate of great sellers.
Oh, that's so good. And most of the sellers don't wanna do all the admin stuff anyway. So it gets them doing the things that they're more excited about, which I think keeps that rhythm going instead of breaking it to go do the updates or notes or whatever it is.
And Jeff, the hard thing I have experienced also with and worked with a lot of sales leaders, I was also in sales leadership roles and so on. And for sure, at the end of the day, especially if you are in a SaaS driven world where you report to a board, where you have high growth targets and so on, yes, everyone in the company, especially the leadership, needs to know what kind of deals are in our pipeline, what kind of deals we are going to close
Mm,
at a certain stage. But we are building information or we are building assumptions upon wrong information because you mentioned a really good point. Sales reps are not here to take notes and type the best notes into the CRM. Sales reps are here to build connections, to have fun in conversations, and so
yeah.
on and so forth. And most sales reps we have seen, they type one sentence in the CRM or say, yeah, I think this deal will be. And no offense against the
Right.
sales reps. I think it's just not their job. Yeah, they are not good at this because
It's
it's
not.
not their strength. And that's what we really see changing now because if you have shit in your CRM, if there is wrong information in, you can have the best reporting system up on that information, you will get wrong information. But if you have right
Yeah.
information in, when I exactly know what you mentioned during my 1 hour sales conversation, and you talked about when is the compelling event you need to replace the solution, I can report up on that, and my forecast just gets so much better.
Well, not only that, but you're actually capturing all of that sales information. You're able to pull it in and be able to evaluate what marketing messages are
Yes,
resonating. What is it that the real objections? How are sales calls going? What questions are working? And you can actually build better,
yes,
give information.
yes.
Really, you're building better
Yeah,
reps.
totally. And you help the reps also getting more business, like you said, the marketing message,
Yeah,
the product features, and so on. Yeah, so you see, there is so much value in this information, which I would say a couple of years wasn't available.
yeah, yeah. And it's making that available is there's just so many benefits to that. And things that one of the best reps is doing and that nobody else knows about, and they're just doing it because it comes natural to
Yes,
them.
yes,
But it's not something that they would even think about explaining to somebody else or saying, "Here's my approach," because they're just being
yeah,
them. But then you're able to capture that because you're capturing all of the
yeah.
data and seeing those patterns.
We see it even, Jeff, like that reps Just watch, similar to Netflix, right? They watch the best sales conversations of the best reps, yeah? And
Mm,
if ideally the AI, as of today, gives already comments to important pieces of this sales conversation where were like turning points, where the sales rep reacted great, where the sales reps didn't react the right way. And only by watching these conversations, we see an uptick in the closing rates because for sure they copy certain things from the best sales reps. And at the end of the day, what every organization wants is they want to clone their best sales reps.
of course. So what if it's a smaller company and they don't have best sales reps yet, and they're bringing on, maybe moving from founder-led sales and have their first sales team?
I think it's even more, I personally believe that once you have a sales team, when you have like a sales team of 20, 30, 50 people, the good thing is you already know how to sell because you wouldn't have a sales team of,
Right.
I hope so at least, yeah, that you don't have a
Yeah, you would
sales team
think.
of 50 people and no one is selling the right way. So the thing is, there is definitely, hopefully, at least half of it, yeah, who are selling, and hopefully at least 20, 30% top performers out of these 50 who really know how to sell. But when you start very early, founder led sales, for example, or you hire your first 1 to 2 sales reps, it's so essential to gain these insights. What do the customer mention? What
Mm,
do they like? What features do we have or maybe not have, but everyone in the market is asking for exactly that feature. And that's why we maybe are not closing certain deals. And that's also important when you are like 50 people, yeah, but more on a strategic level and more on reporting on a quarterly basis saying, hey, these customers mentioned that issue on our platform and we need to take this to product. But when you're having like a couple of sales reps, this needs to be like getting more or less every day in and to say, oh, we got like these requests and everyone is asking about that. We need to implement that because our sales reps are not closing anything. And so in the early days, I truly believe that the product market fit or even message market fit is a lot more important that you record something like that than maybe later on. Later on, there are different factors, yeah, to improve the sales reps, to
yes.
report certain things back to the product team. But early on, finding that message that resonates, providing product feedback, super, super essential.
You're right. I think it's probably even more essential at the
Yeah.
beginning. The things that you're looking for in the beginning are different than what they are later, but the kick scale solves both. But having that early message and getting that right faster is so important, especially if you're trying to scale or trying to find that product market fit or message
Yes.
market fit or channel fit. There's multiple things to think about there. Being able to understand that and get direct feedback, not what somebody feels or not what somebody remembers from a 45-minute conversation, which is going to be a tiny bit, but actually being able to look at the whole thing and seeing one, coaching them where they can be better, but also just understanding what is the feedback, what's the customer say, what's the prospect saying about the solution that you can take and integrate either into the product or into marketing or into the next sales conversation.
100%. I cannot agree more on
Uh,
that. Yes.
Funding is always something that's interesting. You mentioned that some of the founders from Bitmovin are a part of the investor
Yeah.
team in Kickscale, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. When you think about funding, how do you think about investment going out, raising funds? What should other founders, and you've been down this road, what should other founders watch out for in early stage fundraising?
Oh, yeah. There is a long list, Jeff.
Ready to future proof your company and scale to new heights? Dive into the ultimate resource designed just for SaaS founders and C suite executives. Champion Leadership Group gives you an unfair advantage in scaling up revenue and outwitting competitors. Imagine solving your biggest scaling headaches and hitting 5, 10, 20 million ARR and beyond with ease. We take away the guesswork and the grunt work and replace it with framework by supporting you with our on demand fractional C suite team, a powerful operating system built into software, and a thriving community of fellow scaling SaaS founders. That's how we make it happen. If you're stuck at your current revenue level, this is your ticket out. Feel like your company is the world's best kept secret? We amplify your success. And hey, if you're already crushing it but too busy to breathe, we got your back. We'll free up 20% of your time in the first month. Now is the time to upgrade from traction to scale. If you're ready to work smarter and not just grind harder, schedule a 10-minute growth brainstorm. Completely free, not a sales call. You can't buy anything on there. And we will pinpoint the number one thing blocking revenue. Visit championleadership.com. That's where leaders evolve and companies transform.
Because we are also in that path. So we did that a couple of times. I saw it with Bitmoving and so on. I think what my biggest lesson is over the last 10 years and seeing different positions, different founders, different sales leads, different investors, and so on and so forth. I truly believe essentially, and the most important part is you need to build a great product which you are selling. I have the feeling personally that once investors come in or you say we start fundraising, it's all about fundraising. And don't get me wrong, I think it's important. Yeah, you need money to operate. Without funds, yeah, no
Yes.
money, no funny, right? It's like at a certain stage that isn't fun anymore. But I think keeping the balance, especially for young founders or founders who do that the first time, is so important because you get so many opinions. And even more important, I personally think, in the fundraising process, it's just normal. I see it also in similar like a sales process. You need to build up a funnel. You need to talk to different venture capital guys, business angels, wherever in the stage you are. But you will typically get a lot more no's because the focus of certain funds is not your focus. So you need to really highly prospect into the right funds. Yeah. Some competition might be out there. They are not investing. There are other investment theses and so on and so forth. I think fundraising, just keep it going. Talk to as many investors as possible with the right ones where you see some fit. Yeah. But still don't forget about the customers, because at the end, if you're not
Yeah.
fulfilling any customer needs, you will not fulfill any investor needs. So the customer is still the base for everything. Yeah. At least when you have already customers and not on the idea stage, obviously. But even if you are in the idea stage, you need to have a proven way. What am I going to build and how does this solve the problems of my future customer, of my customers today? I think this is one very important part. And the other one, obviously, being like in a company where we scaled from 0 to 25 million in ARR within a couple of years, and from more or less 10 people in a small office on the countryside of a small village in Austria towards a global organization with 200 plus employees. Also, this is a challenge in that process, right? Because the
Yes.
company essentially every half a year, the company feels so different. Because
Yeah.
when you are on that growth path and you are like doubling or tripling every half year, you hire new people. Your product evolves. Yeah, your sales and marketing process changes. And at a certain stage, I say always like startup and this whole fundraising and VC journey, half a year feels like in another organization already 5 years or so. Yeah, that's why my gray hair also are
Yeah.
coming like out here. Yeah.
That's good. What are some of the biggest mistakes that high growth startups make when trying to scale sales operations?
Investing in marketing and sales when there is just no evidence that it works. I think
Mm.
what I learned the hard way is, if you have two sellers who are not, let's make a bigger number. Let's take three sellers, right? If you are having three sellers and all of these three sellers are not performing at all, they are just not hitting their goals. They are not successful. If you hire another three sellers, the likelihood is very high that even also all these six sellers will not perform. And
Mm.
that's what I've seen with working with really a lot of early stage startups. That's what we have seen is one big mistake, right? To saying, oh, let's hire 4 sales reps. And I did that as well. Yeah, it's like my mistake
Sure.
essentially, to say, oh, we are not performing. Yeah, but let's hire 2 more. And the thing is, if you have already a couple of sales reps, but no one is performing, yeah, you have maybe a toxic team culture, yeah, that could be also a case, or you just hire the wrong people. But in most cases, it's not the people, because even if you are as a hiring manager super bad and you hire 5 sales reps and there is not one in who is like average, you are really a bad hiring manager. And I think that won't happen. So if you have 3 to 5 people, but no one is performing, it could be that you haven't figured out how to transition from founder-led to sales-led. Because as a founder, I'm selling differently than a seller. I'm selling the vision. The product is, how to say that, it's the vision I'm selling, and that's also what the customers are buying. But as a sales rep, you need guidance, you need the value for the features, you need objection handling properly, yeah, and all these things. And I think this space needs to be built first, and then you can hire. This is one, I would say, crucial mistake I'm seeing. And the other mistake, looking at the go-to-market funnel, um, when you receive 10 million, 30 million in funding, obviously every department has their goals. Sales, obviously, it
Sure.
starts with sales. This is my sales goal. It goes down to an opportunity and deal goal. And then at a certain stage, it goes down also to a lead goal. Like, hey, marketing, you get to produce 1,000 leads. And out of these 1,000 leads, we generate 100 opportunities. And out of these 100 opportunities, we close 30. Yeah. And I think in the VC world, a lot of times we forget about the quality. So
Yes.
quantity is an important topic. Don't get me wrong. I think if you have like only 1 lead a day, yeah, it's maybe not the best thing. If you have 50 leads a day, it's a lot better. But if you have 50 leads where there are 49 no fit, yeah, for your company, and they are actually producing more work for you because they have questions, the product doesn't fit to them, I personally believe it's actually worse, yeah, than when you have 2 to 3 great fitting leads that are coming in where the sales team can work with them. And I think finding this balance between quantity and quality, this is especially when you get like money thrown at your table, this is something where you need to think of, how am I investing this money and what's really the return of investment? And obviously, it's not easy, right? Because also we live in a multi-touch world. We need to identify, people see touch points from the company all over the place. There is a LinkedIn ad, there is some content piece, there is someone sharing something on social. And having that under control, or at least I would say to understand that, that's important.
Yeah, that is. And having the quality, and that's, I haven't heard that a lot. Most people really focus on the quantity and just expect that quality's in there somewhere, and let the sales reps sort it out and figure out what's marketing qualified, what's sales
Yeah.
qualified, and then we'll, measure the pipeline later. But I think that's really important, is really getting
Yeah.
focused on that ICP and making sure that what is coming in is quality, so your reps aren't wasting time and sticking stuff in the pipeline that doesn't belong there, because it
Yeah.
happens. Just because they need something, they have to put something in there and then blame it on marketing or sales or not having the features or whatever it is. But hey, it was in the
Yeah.
pipeline,
That,
but it really wasn't.
that's exactly what I mean. I think you need quantity, right? Quantity leads at a certain stage to quality for sure. But if you are afraid
Yeah.
that you have nothing in your pipeline and you just take everything you get, make that to pipeline, and this will never close, then you have a huge pipeline, but no real revenue at the end of the day. And that, I think, is one of
Right.
the worst scenarios you can have in a sales team, because everyone is busy working on something, but it seems like that everyone works on the wrong things.
Right. And then sales points at marketing and says you're giving us terrible leads.
Yeah, which, and also the other way around. Yeah, so there is then this conflict you have, which,
Right. Yeah. Sales can't close anything with the leads I give them.
and there you need alignment. It's
Yeah.
also, so my co-founder, I love him, Marcus. Marcus is a expert, really, a pro in marketing. He did that over 10 years, made Bitmob tons of leads. We did other projects together. He worked at Red Bull formerly and so on. And even we know each other so well. We are close since 15 years. We went to university. But even we say that when I'm putting my sales hat on, he is marketing head, and we are fully in that. Even we get sometimes and say, hey, the leads, yeah, but the sales. And we say that always, hey, let's get back to that. What's our goal? Okay, we have there some nice leads. Let's look over it. We haven't contacted them. Yeah, our sales reps haven't contacted them. Okay, there is an issue. Quality is fine. Let's go. And I think this is just natural, right? Because especially in a venture capital world, or also in a world where you scale fast, You get money, you put something in, everyone wants to do his or her best job for sure. Yeah. And if something sometimes doesn't go north, they think, hey, what's going on? Yeah, the leads are shit. No, you're not closing, and you need to figure out what's going on there.
Looking back, what's one leadership lesson that shaped the way you build and scale companies now?
Give clear expectations, but leave the people also their room, right? You need to say, hey, what am I expecting you in sales? Yeah, hey, here is the goal, but not only saying, hey, I expect you to close 800K ARR within the next 12 months. Yes, I get it, but I mean it more. My expectation is, hey, when there are incoming leads coming, I expect you that you take care of them within an hour. Yeah, making service level agreements on that side. Yeah, or hey, I expect you that if you don't get any inbound leads, I expect you, here is a target account list of 500 accounts. I expect you to prospect into these accounts. Call them. We have them in our CRM, in the database. Get in there and make that happen. I think this is one thing, to make the expectations clear, especially the faster you grow. Yeah. But also at the same time, not micromanage or so. Yeah. I think that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Smart people, hire smart people that know what to do, but you still need to give some kind of expectations and a vision in every team on the company where we are going towards. I think this is one really huge leadership lesson. Yeah. Which I would get into here. And obviously, then once you communicated these expectations, also to measure it on a frequently basis. Yeah, if you are not measuring where you are targeting with, especially when it comes to sales or marketing, there is something wrong.
That's true. And what gets measured gets managed.
I-
They know what to pay attention to if they're being measured
Yeah,
on it.
exactly. So I think this is
Yeah.
one key message. If you can't manage what you can't measure, yeah, there needs something in. And hey, here is a list of target accounts. When have we last time contacted them? Oh wow, half a year ago. Hey guys, we measure that.
Yeah.
Let's contact them, and then things get done as well. That's also what I've seen. Once you bring certain KPIs through the team's attention, it goes super fast. It's just like you give the focus. And that's what I mean with, maybe it's not expectations, Jeff. I think it's maybe a little bit a confusing word. It's more like the focus, right? Because especially the faster an organization grows or the more is on the table, you need to provide the best focus possible.
Yeah. Where do you see AI making the biggest impact in sales in the next 3 to 5 years? So 3 years seems like an eternity in AI time.
Personally, so the thing is, you can already chat with AI. You can call AI systems. Yeah, they qualify you, they
Yeah.
provide you the right information, and so on. I truly believe that great sellers will always be there. If you are a great seller, if you are emotionally attached, if you are excited about your product, if you are in a good mood, yeah, if you are going out, I think great sellers will always be there, because I truly believe that also people want to buy from people in a certain way. It depends on the industry, it depends on the product, but we will always have
Yes.
this human connection. That's, we are humans, right? And this is thousands of years we search for groups and search for connection. So I truly believe the best sellers will still be there in the next 3 years, 5 years. There will be sellers there. But what I also believe at the other hand side is that bad sellers will be gone. If there is a seller who doesn't know the product, who doesn't know the industry, who doesn't know how he or she can help you with their solution, there will be no need for such sellers. And
Right.
there will be also a replacement of matchmaking sellers. What do I mean by that? All the sales development representatives, the business development representatives. Yeah. A lot of them will be replaced by AI for sure, because searching someone out from the internet and sending them automatically a message that there is a solution which might be a fit, or calling them, that can be done by an AI. And that, I'm pretty sure that this will happen in the next years. But for the great sellers, AI will always be a nice add on, that they save time, get more insights, make themselves better, reflect how good they are, and so on and so forth.
Oh, so good. What's next for Kickscale? What's maybe the next milestone, or how do you see the company evolving
So
over the next few years as sales
yeah,
evolves?
so we are obviously fully in the agent topic. Yeah, I think this is what is the next stage of evaluation. What do I mean by that? I mentioned to you already today, it's easy to get out the action items of a certain sales call saying, hey, these are the free action items. Send me the proposal, prepare this presentation, and so on and so forth. These
Right.
kind of things will be done by agents. I'm not saying that an agent will be doing the sales conversation. I think we are still a little bit off of that. I still think that humans will talk to humans, but where I think, again, agents will take over creating a presentation with the values in, preparing the offer, sending out the offer. That's a task I'm also, I would say, on a daily basis. I spend some time on just preparing offers, saying, oh, these guys want 50 license of the pro plan, and this is what's included, just typing in the name and so on. It doesn't feel that it takes a lot of time, but 20 minutes or half an hour are quite fast gone by just preparing that email and
Right.
sending that out. And even if I have AI and I use AI, I have the template, but just copying it over, getting the proposal out of HubSpot and all these things. That is the next big milestones. We have there already a lot of things, but integrating that more and that you get your personal sales assistant as an agent who tells you 24/7, hey, Gerald, you need to do that. Should I do that for you? Oh, yes, please. Hey, I contacted Jeff and sent him the proposal. Jeff did open it, but did not respond to it. Should I follow up again? And agents, I believe, yeah, agents for sure will at a certain stage work fully independent. But for the next couple of quarters, next couple of years, still humans want to be in control, I have the feeling. And especially sales reps
Yes.
want to be even more in control, I have the feeling, because it's just their DNA. The agents which are coming in the next couple of months and quarters will be more like, hey, should I do that? And you just say yes. You get a quick review, say, hey, yes, please do it. And then maybe it's similar to car driving. When you drive the cars, you have first the adaptive cruise control, then at a certain stage you have lane assistance, and then at a certain stage the car is driving fully by itself. That's what I'm seeing here too.
That makes sense. Tell me about the sales skills book.
Oh, absolutely happy to do it. I have it here with you guys.
Yes.
Um, yeah, essentially. So I'm teaching at a local university here in Austria, University of Applied Sciences, already 7 years, and I really love it. Yeah, it's like cool to see young students how they involve, what questions they have. I do that once a year, yeah, for 2 days, and luckily, one of the professors there, they are owning a publishing house as well. And so he said, "Hey,
Nice.
have you never thought about writing a book?" And he said, "Yeah, it's there is some work in the book, but you only need to write 30,000 words, and then everything is easy, and we get it done, and so on." And yeah, and I thought, "Hey, okay." I started 2023 with the book and said, "Oh, there is ChatGPT out. How hard can it be to write a book?" Yeah, and you, Jeff, maybe know it as well and resonate to that. Getting a book into Amazon or published or printed, it's definitely more work than I have expected, to be very honest with you.
Yes.
Because for sure, there are lots of graphics in, there are lots of things in. But for me, it is initially came from the playbooks we put online. And then the professor saw me teaching about sales and marketing and then mentioned, hey, there is, when you search for sales skills, there are tons of books out for certain areas like negotiation or objection handling or pitching or asking
Right.
questions or building empathy. But there is no book for a complete beginner like a student on learning sales. And that was the idea of the sales skills book and is the idea of the skills book. You get a very concise textbook with exercises with the basic knowledge of sales, including practical examples and exercises that you get your, I would say, first and second step into the sales world. And we published it then in 2024. We sold over 8,000 copies now. And yeah, developing nicely.
Outstanding. Where can people learn more about you and about Kickscale and get a copy of the book online?
The book is the easiest, I would say. So it's available on Amazon, the Sales Skills book, and you can order it via Kindle as a paperback or even as a hardcover. And where you read the most about me is definitely LinkedIn. So feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. Happy to engage there. Send me a connection request. Also, if you have questions, and obviously kickscale.com, there you have the most information about the company Kickscale and all what we do. And feel free also here to start your free trial and see what value can bring, what value Kickscale can bring essentially to you as well.
Outstanding. We'll make sure and link all of that in the show notes. And Gerald, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Thanks for being on SaaS Fuel.
Jeff, thank you also very much. It was, as always, a pleasure chatting with you and really looking forward to it and wishing you a great day. Thanks again for hosting this.
Thanks again, Gerald, for coming on the show and sharing your journey and insights. You can learn more about Gerald and Kickscale at kickscale.com. As always, all links, highlights, resources, and full show notes are available at saasfuel.com. And be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. At Champion Leadership is the channel. We've got full video episodes, shorts, reels, outtakes, and training out there for SaaS founders. Thought leaders, share this episode with someone curious and then don't tell them why. See what happens. Everyone who shares this week gets a crisis mode AI coach trained to shout, calm down in your ear before you send that all company Slack message in full panic mode. I actually had a situation where I was going to send an email to somebody and just let them have it. And one of my coaches was like, hold the Braveheart scene, like hold. And until he could talk me off the ledge and talk a little more sense into me. That's a funny one. What if your sales team could consistently close high value deals with precision and efficiency? Join us on Tuesday as Donald Kelly, award-winning sales leader, LinkedIn top voice, and host of the Sales Evangelist podcast, reveals the proven techniques behind high-performance B2B sales teams. Then next week on our founder episode, we'll sit down with Colin Stewart, CEO of Predictable Revenue, to explore how he bootstrapped a multi-million-dollar business and scaled sales teams using the same methods that built Salesforce's outbound success. Pretty cool stuff. With insights from 350 plus podcast episodes and years of experience, Colin will break down the strategies that drove growth. With insights from 350 podcast episodes and years of experience, Colin will break down sales strategies that drive repeatable revenue growth. See you next time, and as always, enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to SaaS Fuel. Full show notes for each episode, which includes a summary, key takeaways, quotes, and any resources mentioned, are available at saasfuel.com. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're enjoying the content and getting value from these episodes, please leave us a rating and review at ratethispodcast.com/SaaSfuel. We'll be sure to read these out on future episodes.